A fierce storm lashed against the windows as Emma and her friends arrived at the only inn in town, the eerie Blackwood Hotel. The receptionist, an old man with clouded eyes, handed them keys, his crooked smile unsettling. "This storm will keep you here all night," he murmured as the thunder roared outside. The group laughed nervously, brushing off his words as an attempt to scare them. Each key had a number etched in gold, but there was no number 13 on the board. Emma noticed a flicker of unease in the receptionist's expression as he handed out the keys. The group split into their rooms, promising to meet for dinner in the ornate dining hall. Emma's room was filled with antique furniture, all covered in a thin layer of dust. She noticed a peculiar grandfather clock in the corner, its hands frozen at 13 past midnight. Shrugging it off, she unpacked and joined her friends downstairs. The dining room was dimly lit, with a long table set for more guests than expected. "Where is everyone?" asked Jake, their friend with a knack for asking the obvious. The old man appeared from the shadows, carrying a tray of steaming food. "You're the only guests tonight," he said, his voice unnervingly cheerful. They dined on roast chicken and potatoes, but something about the silence felt oppressive. Emma noticed a painting on the wall of a family with hollow, black eyes staring at them. "That's creepy," said Sarah, her voice shaky as she glanced at the painting. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the chandelier above swayed slightly. "Old building, old wiring," muttered Mark, trying to calm everyone's nerves. After dinner, they decided to explore the hotel, starting with the grand staircase. The stairs creaked under their weight, the sound echoing eerily. On the second floor, they found a long hallway lined with identical doors. "Let's play a game," suggested Jake, trying to lighten the mood. He knocked on one of the doors, but it swung open on its own. Inside was an empty room with a single chair facing a mirror. Emma noticed something moving in the mirror, but nothing was behind them. "This is getting weird," she said, her voice trembling. They backed out of the room, only to find the hallway darker than before. The sound of footsteps echoed, though no one was visible. "We should go back to our rooms," said Sarah, clutching Emma's arm tightly. As they turned, a door at the end of the hallway slammed shut. Mark ran toward it, but the door wouldn't budge. "There's someone here," he whispered, his breath visible in the now chilling air. The group retreated downstairs, but the reception area was empty. The old man was nowhere to be found, and the main door wouldn't open. "We're locked in," said Jake, panic creeping into his voice. They decided to stick together, returning to the dining hall for safety. The chandelier had stopped swaying, but the air felt heavy. Emma noticed the painting on the wall had changed. The family now had smiles. "We need to leave," she said firmly, pulling out her phone for help. There was no signal, and her battery drained rapidly before her eyes. "Let's check the basement," suggested Mark, pointing to a hidden door behind the counter. They descended into the dark, damp basement with a single flashlight. The walls were lined with strange symbols etched into the stone. "These look ancient," whispered Sarah, running her fingers over the carvings. A faint whispering sound grew louder as they ventured deeper. "Did you hear that?" asked Jake, his hands trembling. They reached a locked door with the number 13 scratched into it. "This wasn't on the main floor," said Mark, confused. Emma tried the key the receptionist had given her, and it worked. The door creaked open, revealing a room filled with old photographs. Each photograph depicted a guest who had stayed at the hotel, their faces fading. In the corner, a typewriter clattered on its own, typing their names. "Get out," shouted Sarah, yanking them all back toward the stairs. The basement door slammed shut behind them as they reached the top. The old man stood there, smiling. I see you've met the previous guests, he said, his voice cold. What do you want from us? Demanded Emma. Just your memories, he replied, his eyes gleaming. The group ran back to their rooms, locking the doors behind them. Emma's clock started ticking, the hands moving backward. She felt herself growing dizzy, memories flashing before her eyes. A knock at her door broke the spell, and she opened it to find Mark. We need to stick together, he said, his face pale. The group gathered in Emma's room, devising a plan to escape. They decided to break a window, but the glass wouldn't shatter. Suddenly, the walls began to close in and the room shrank. A voice echoed, "You belong to the hotel now." Emma grabbed the mirror from the room, smashing it on the ground. The shards revealed a portal, swirling with light. "Jump!" she shouted, pulling Sarah through first. One by one, they leaped into the portal, the hotel fading behind them. They landed outside in the pouring rain, the storm still raging. Looking back, the hotel had vanished entirely. "Was it real?" asked Jake, his voice trembling. Emma held up a shard of the mirror, the symbols glowing faintly. "It was real," she said, her voice firm. The group vowed never to speak of the hotel again. Weeks later, Emma received a package at her door. Inside was a key with the number 13 and a note. "We'll see you again.